Hi, I'm Ryan from Yellowcard, and you're watching LiveTheScene.com. I'm really well, thank you, and the tour has been incredible. We left just about a month ago now, started in Japan, where we've been many times, but we went to a couple places that, we went to 3 countries that we've never visited before: the Philippines, Russia, and Finland, and then that led us here to start the All-Time Low tour. But
were you a bit blown away by the fans' response then, in those places you've never been before?
Yeah, it was incredible. The Philippines, the show was just huge show. I mean, you know, to go to a place for the first time and there'd be close to 2,000 people at the show. It's you know, we don't take that lightly. And then the show in Moscow was probably just one of the most memorable moments we've had in a long time as a band. Just as far as just the insanity of the show, there was about 1,000 people there, and there was no barricade for the stage. It was heads like were right about at foot level, so it was like here, and just, I mean, it was just waves of fans falling all over. I mean, we were just not even playing well at all because it was just total chaos. But, you know, it's been a long time really since we've had a show like that, and we just loved it. It was so much fun.
It's a bit like going back.
Yeah, it felt like a club show in 2003, you know, or something like that. So it was incredible, and seeing Moscow and St. Petersburg was something really cool, just as a, you know, not just being in a band, but just as a person to get to do that. It was awesome. Yeah, we're having a great time. I mean, you know, it's been a long time since we've been here, and it's unfortunate. It's been real circumstantial. I mean, 2006, 2007, it was just not working out over and over for us to come, and then we ended up going on hiatus, you know, and just that was that. So it's been nice to be able to get up every night and have that moment to say, look, we're sorry it took us so long, but we're back in stride, and we're making new records, and that we're not going to slow down anytime soon. We'll be back. And so the shows have been awesome, and I think one of my favorite things about this country is the football. I mean, it's, you know, I have to pay for a premium cable package for one. I would have to pay for one separate for the EPL, and then one separate for MLS, and one, you know, it's like, it's the way it is back home. And here it's just like, you know, we went and watched the Arsenal-Barcelona game the other night at a bar, and it was just packed full of fans, and it was so awesome, you know. And so
what's your English team then?
I don't really have one for sure, but I'm definitely, after this trip, our merch guy is like a bleeding Man City fan. Like, he is diehard. Has a huge Man City tattoo over his chest. Before they had money, then. Yeah, he has a tattoo over his chest for sure. So as much as I'll probably get the same amount of shit as if I was to be a Man U fan because of the money, I'll get that now. But it's like I kind of have an allegiance now, and like I've gotten to watch him watch a few games, and it's just awesome, you know. And actually, coincidentally, I watched that documentary Blue Moon Rising on the plane on the way to, not even here. It was like the flight from one of the Russia flights, one of the Philippines to Russia flights. I watched that film, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty epic story, you know. And so now being here, and you know, we've become much bigger fans of like soccer, football, like organized teams in the last few years because the MLS has picked up so much in the States. Other than that, we wait for the World Cup and watch the States play, you know. That's the way it's been growing up. So, you know, I wouldn't have really had an EPL team, I don't think, before, because I just wasn't paying as much attention to it. But I'm gotta say I'm leaning towards being a City fan just after being here with.
We'll let you off.
All right, thank you. I mean, there was certainly internal issues with the band that were unfortunate, and I think we all felt like it was the best way to work them out was to take some time away from the band and away from each other. And the decision was really made because we had poured just so much into Paper Walls. You know, Lights and Sounds was a pretty traumatic record for us. It had you know, an amazing level of success at the very beginning of the album, but you know, I personally was in a pretty shitty headspace. I was just really had lost track of myself, and you know, all the success had really kind of spun me, you know, around, and then I had to have the surgery on my vocal cords. We canceled the tours over here. We did it just, you know, so we went back in for Paper Walls really focused and really determined to kind of get back on track. And we made that record, and initially everyone, our fans, the label, everyone was so excited about it and felt like we had really, you know, returned to form of Yellowcard with that album, and then the label just fell apart around us, and there was just nothing. It was just over. You know, we couldn't even keep touring really on it because there was no support for the album at all. And so basically, we were faced with the decision: okay, do we now? The record came out in July. It's, you know, March of the following year. It hasn't even been a year yet. Do we go? We have to go right in the studio right now and start working again, or do we take some time away from this? You know, and I don't think we would have made the record we just made if we had done it then. I really think, even if it hurt us a little bit, stepping back and being away from it, and maybe people moving on to other bands or whatever, I'm willing to sacrifice that for the record we made. You know, we're just so excited about it, man, and we worked so hard on it, and there was no, even with Paper Walls, there was sort of a fight, like we have to fight to get back in this after all the shit that had kind of happened with the second record. This one wasn't like that at all. It was just like, let's just have a great time making a record, and every minute of it was fun, and everybody was just loving the whole process, and it really shows in the music. Longenu, our drummer, really had a lot to do with it early on. I think he was taking a break or had a month off or something with Adam Lambert. He was drumming for the American Idol guy, and I think it was more just like, do you guys think maybe we could play a show, or, you know, write a song, do something? It was just whatever. There was no specific thing, and that got us talking. And then I think there was a couple of emails about some shows, some offers for shows. We didn't end up playing them, but it was just kind of the idea that, like, there was still, you know, people out there who wanted to be a part of what we do. And so we had I mean, it was a process, you know. We all live in different states and different cities now, and we had to get together in Los Angeles as a group and talk about the things that we needed, you know, from each other, from the band, to go forward. And everyone was real mature about it and real open and honest. We're in a very different headspace. I mean, we have definitely we pride ourselves on our ability to party as hard as we did at such a young age. But it's, you know,
there's not many regrets.
I try. I don't live that way. And that's definitely when people ask, like, what's your MO? What's your advice to, you know, when I really try and live my life without any regret. I've made a lot of really stupid decisions, but I'm also very lucky to do what I do for a living. And if it takes 8 years to get that fully in perspective, so be it. And if somebody wants to be upset with me for taking that long, so be it. I don't welcome negativity in any way. And I've learned from every mistake and every good choice I've made, you know. And so that was something we talked about a lot. Was like, if we're going to do this, we really need to look at where we are in our lives and like what's at stake, and how seriously we're gonna take this, and how much we all are relying on each other to have a future. And if one person slips, it you know, it affects everybody. And when things got really big, we totally lost sight of that. There was a lot of individuality going on in the band at that point, and I just think everybody's really into working as a team right now. Yet to be seen, you know. Find out when the album comes out. I've definitely, it's kind of a double-edged sword for me, you know. The thing that's changed to me the most is the social networking aspect of the music business now, you know. And coming up on the major label records, there was a media department that handled all that stuff. They managed a Facebook page. They did all. There wasn't even a Twitter then, you know. But whatever, they handled all that stuff. I do the band Twitter and Facebook myself now, and I don't know if that'll be forever. You know, if it gets to a point where it's just totally overwhelming. But right now I do. So part of that bums me out, and part of it makes me really excited. And it doesn't necessarily bum me out because it's like too much work. I don't want to complain. Like, I have too much work to do. But it's just like there's a line that's so fine between you and your fans, and in a way that you have to find that line of letting them know how grateful you are for their support and how important they are to everything that you do, but not letting them into your personal life on a certain level. And these social networking sites really make those lines blurry, and fans get really upset over things that are very personal, and that part is frustrating. Flip side of that is, I've connected with so many fans on behalf of the band in such a positive way because of it. And example being, the label used to manage the Facebook site.
Yeah.
And when we announced we were making the record in August, was last year, was right around when I first logged in on my own for the first time to just check it out and see how it was set up and whatever. We had like 320,000 likes on the page in August of last year. It's now middle of March, and we have almost 760,000. So just from my personal involvement in the site and being active and giving content and things like that, it's spreading like wildfire through other people's Facebook pages, you know. I don't have a Facebook page. I'm completely against all of it. But in this way, you know, if Facebook was just a way to get news about bands and things that you liked, I would probably support it more. But but it's like, you know, it's just spreading. Like people are seeing on their friends' walls, oh, I remember that band from 2004, and I mean that's what it is. I'm very honest about that. Like, we had a big song on the radio, and a lot of people became fans of our band because of that. And then when there wasn't a song on the radio anymore, they weren't really fans. But back then we didn't have a way to continue communicating with them other than the radio. Now we do. It's like you don't even really need the radio. That would just be icing on the cake to break through and actually get some rock and roll back on top 40 radio, which is probably not going to happen. But yeah, every time I talk about that, it's just that it was just such a like beaming light of hope, you know. It was like we all were sitting there at our computers for 48 hours straight, you know, watching. It was the biggest thing that we've done in years, and so really following everything and every site, everything that was happening, and we were almost just like not believing. Like it was pretty unbelievable, you know. It was like a really big website for us in the States, absolutepunk.net. I mean, it had to have been like 95% of 400 and something thread comments positive.
They're pretty ruthless, aren't they, normally? Right,
sure. I mean, there were the occasional like, man, don't care, whatever, forget about this band. But overwhelmingly, like, people just saying, holy shit, I can't, this is exactly the song I wanted to hear from this band. And so, you know, we were just overwhelmed and like so thrilled, and like you said, like we were just so hopeful at that point, being like, wow, we may really have, you know, a legitimate second chance to like go out and build this back up again, you know, and that's what we want to do. So the first show that we played in November of last year was just kind of a one-off thing we did in Pomona in California, and it was definitely, we were so nervous, man. I don't really get stage fright for regular shows. I get it for sure for like TV type stuff, and you know, like the MTV Video Awards things back in the day. That I remember, I was petrified that night, man. But I can go out in front of, you know, 10,000 people on stage and I'm fine. But yeah, we were. That night in November was pretty stressful leading up to getting on stage, and then it was great once we were up there. But same thing when we started in Japan, we were like, wow, this is real again. We have to get out there and do this, you know. But we're definitely getting back in stride. You know, Sean Mackin and Longinu and myself, we've been playing together for a long time now. And even Ryan Mendez, I mean, this is his 6th year in the band, so you know, it's been our 5th year in the band, but so we are able to quickly get back into the groove with each other. Call me out, you stayed inside, one you love is where you hide. I would say that we felt like it was now in hindsight the best decision we've ever made as a band, even though there was no certainty whatsoever that we were ever going to make another record. And to be honest, I probably at the time that we took the break thought we wouldn't. I thought it was time to probably start thinking about what else I was going to do with my life, you know? But yeah, I mean, if there comes a point where you're not having fun, you know, where we have the best job. I mean, this is we're the luckiest guys, you know? I mean, and we've been doing this for our entire adult life so far, and we're still going. And if there comes a point where it's not fun, then yeah, you have to step away from it. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna make shitty records, you're gonna play shitty shows, you know what I mean? There's gotta be that element of excitement and energy and fun in it, or else it's, you know, like, it doesn't matter how bright or dark the music is. You know, Marilyn Manson has fun doing what he does, and you can tell, you see it in everything he did, and you know, that's just an example I could think of as something polar opposite of what we do, you know? So yeah, I think that it was the best decision we could have made. I think my biggest goal this year and this record and everything about it was just to make sure that I didn't lose sight of like this interview right now, you know, and then after this going to warm up, and then after that getting ready for the show. Like when the band sort of achieved all that commercial success a few years ago, you get lost sort of starting to think about what happens in 5 years, what about the next record, what are we, and then you kind of just, you miss stuff, you know, and like we've already done so many amazing, by May we will have been in 10 countries. By May of this year. Like that's insane, you know? And I just am really making sure that I take every day and every show one at a time, and that's really my goal, because I think if I do that, if we all do that, you know, we are setting ourselves up for for longevity this time around, and that's what we want, you know? Thank you. It's really the only message that needs to be said, you know? It's a really exciting time for our band, and we're really proud of this record, and I haven't seen our fan base this excited for something that we've done in a lot of years, and haven't even heard the album yet. So it's.
Think they'll be surprised or just like really grateful?
I think they're just going to be so into it. That's, you know, I just think maybe surprised that we put together what we put together, you know. But I think that there's really going to be an overwhelming sentiment of just, this is the band that I fell in love with originally, and that I will continue to support. You know, that's what we're working towards and what we hope to get from them.
Brilliant.